PAP has got Ting Teh Ling. And what I'm going to introduce you now is SDP's glamour candidate, Michelle Lee. She's a graduate of the London School of Economics with a Bachelor of Science degree in Government and Economics, scoring a first-class honours in the government component of the degree program. She worked for Monetary Authority of Singapore. She later worked for the Solomon Smith Barney Citibank as a financial analyst and Mercer Management Consulting in Hong Kong. In 2002, Michelle made a career shift and became an English and literature teacher. And she said, working with children rather than money has been infinitely more fulfilling. She currently teaches a group of underprivileged children in the Holland Road area, where she is standing, and delivers food to the needy residents. Her global experience in finance, consultancy, and education stand her in good stead to serve the needs of the people of Singapore. She's a proud mother of 3 and a successful practitioner of the work-life balance. Let's have Michelle now.
Okay, I have to say, I don't have any Kate Spade bags. I just use recycled bags. Okay, so no need to chant Kate Spade, Kate Spade. Just chant SDP, SDP. Okay, thank you for coming to listen to us today. Fellow Singaporeans, I know why you are here. It is the same reason I'm standing here before you. You are here because you care about the future of our country. The country we call home, the country that we love, Singapore. At our nomination center yesterday, the PAP said, Majulah PAP. Then they said, Majulah Singapura. I think they forgot who comes first. Of course, it is Majulah Singapura that must come first. Majulah Singapura that is important. And who is Singapore? You are! The PAP wants you to think that Singapore is PAP. In fact, I think they really believe that themselves. That is why they get so confused and think that because Potong Pasir is not PAP, Potong Pasir is not part of Singapore. PAP gets $1 million salaries. They don't need to take the bus or the MRT. They think housing is no problem. Transportation is no problem. GST is no problem. Maybe that is why they cannot understand your problems and they say nothing is wrong, everything very good. We have taken very good care of you, you must be grateful. If everything was fine in our beautiful land, why are there so many constituencies being contested in this election? You, the people, an alternative to vote for in this election. Why is it the PAP has found it difficult to attract good people to stand for them in this election? It is because we, like you, do not agree with many things the government has told us over the years. Before, we had no voice, we were powerless. But change is in the air. Change is in the air. Today you have a voice, using the vote you hold in your hands. We ask you for a clear win in this election. We want a clear mandate from you to stand up for you in Parliament. We will not be afraid to speak out. because speak out we must for Singapore to stop going down this path of self-serving politicians who cannot even understand the needs of you, the people. You have been told to choose carefully in this election, as your choices will determine the future of Singapore. I agree. You must consider carefully what is at stake here. This is a watershed election, and I am honored to be a part of it. Please consider the evidence before you. The nation is suffering. Ordinary people are suffering, and many are stepping forward to speak up. Please, do not let them down. It is imperative that there is diversity in Parliament. Diversity is strength. Many of you will know that when making investments of your own money, diversification is the key to reducing risk. So it is precisely because we want a stable future for our families, our loved ones, for ourselves, for our next generation, that we urge you to vote us into Parliament. The PAP threatens that with opposition in Parliament, the country will come to a standstill. As usual, they paint for you an extreme and improbable picture to try and scare you. Do not let them scare you. Our excellent civil service runs this country. Our civil servants are Singaporeans too, with families and homes. They will not run away from their jobs and leave their duties just because there's opposition in Parliament. The PAP ruling party and the Singapore Civil Service are separate. Civil servants are not even allowed to be MPs. That is why they must resign from the civil service before running. That is why they are unemployed when they run for MP. So what I want to say, PAP is not the civil service, and it is the civil service that keeps Singapore working smoothly and runs things like the MRT, HDB, PUB, MOE, CPF, AVA, national parks, and all the things that we love about Singapore. So don't worry, Singapore will not fall apart if opposition is voted into Parliament. My friends, in truth, it is the future under an unchecked PAP that looks very bleak to me. A government that shuts itself off from the people, that pays itself million-dollar salaries while telling you the poor do not deserve any help because Singapore is not a charity. A government that brings in foreigners by the thousands in order to keep Singaporean wages low. A government that permits HDB flats, which are meant to be affordable housing for Singaporeans, to be sold to foreigners, thus driving their prices up too high for young families to afford them. This is a government that has forgotten its first love, you, the people of Singapore. This is a government that has lost its way. My friends, we need diversity in Parliament. Having the PAP as the only unchecked voice in Parliament puts our future at risk. The NMP and NCMP schemes do not work, and they have not been able to keep the PAP in check. Having only the PAP in government is like putting all your eggs in one basket. Would you put all your life savings in one investment product? In the early 2000s, many investors put all their life savings in investment products that smart people working at big banks sold to them as safe. 100%, absolutely and perfectly safe. You will all remember what happened to these investors who bought the Lehman mini bonds. The global financial crisis came and wiped them out. In this election, there is much more at stake than any single person's life savings. You must decide if you want to continue to put all your eggs in one basket and let the PAP hold that basket alone, or if you want more checks and balances, accountability, and say over your own future. The PAP tells you they are a safe choice and that they have proven their track record to you over the years. I say to you, the old PAP did many good things for Singapore, but the new PAP has made many mistakes. The new PAP's track record has many blemishes. Mas Salamat, overspending the YOG budget by almost 300 million and billions of dollars of your money lost in bad investments. The list goes on. I read on Asia One that the paper losses from investments in Citigroup and UBS by GRC alone in February 2009 were about 50 billion. Apparently, Temasek lost the same amount around the same time. So the total losses that we know about were about 100 billion. How much are Singapore's reserves? Some might call that a raid on the reserves. As ordinary Singaporeans, we still don't know exactly how much of our public money was lost. They told us these losses were reasonable. They said these mistakes were not serious. They said, let's just move on and forget about it. We say enough! Enough excuses and dodging of responsibility. Decision makers must be accountable for their decisions. If these mistakes are what they call small mistakes, imagine if they make a really big mistake in the future. The OPAP helped to build a strong foundation for Singapore. But we also read that in 1964, the year before the PAP took power, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Tunku Abdul Rahman, already described Singapore as the New York of Malaysia, the pride of Malaysia. This was the year before PAP took power. The colonial powers already set up the administrative infrastructure Singapore needed to thrive. We have been reminded not to rock Singapore's strong foundation. We have absolutely no intention of rocking that foundation. The new PAP, on the other hand, are building houses of straw on this strong foundation when they should be building houses of stone. Now the cracks are visible, and throughout our society we can feel the tremors. I give you some examples of their straw houses. The casinos they have built place temptation in the path of many husbands and fathers that worsen problems such as illegal money lending and put financial pressure on families. The high cost of living, many government taxes, fees and charges such as GST, MRT, ERP, HDB, SP services, the list goes on. Even worse, if anyone falls seriously ill, many in Singapore have been made bankrupt because of their healthcare costs. Another example is little transparency or accountability. Until now, we do not know how YOG managed to bust its budget by almost 300 million of public money, or how much of your money was lost on bad investments overseas. Bringing in too many foreign workers too quickly is another example of a straw house. No planning was done for the sudden growth of foreign workers in Singapore. Did they build places for them to stay, build more hospital beds, increase the number of trains and buses? No, yet they say we need even more foreign workers. The huge number already here is not enough according to the PAP. Straw houses and quick fixes, short-term solutions with long-term terrible consequences. That is what the PAP has given you. And before this election, there was nothing you could do about it. We, the SDP candidates standing before you, are not here to rock our foundations. We are here to make sure that instead of building houses of straw, we will build houses of stone, so that when the storm comes, our country will still be standing. To survive and prosper for the long term, Singapore must mature into a civilization and not be run like a corporation. After all, how many corporations last for decades? But civilizations last for centuries or more. On polling day, please remember, don't think that other people will vote for the opposition. No, it is for you to personally vote for the right team. The stakes are too high. If we do not send the ruling party a clear and unanimous message, many things may change before we get this chance again. Please join us in shaping the future of Singapore for the better. We need more voices to make a difference. And now is the time to do your part, Singapore. Vote for SDP.